way like we like each other.
Sitting on the outskirts of the video. Good morning, everybody. So it is about 6:30 in the morning. What is today? Monday morning.
Hey, Monday.
And we're here for our garden chat. Kim came across some really interesting stuff. We do have Richard in the background. We did put the dogs up, so they should not be barking today, and turn the generator off.
Richard does want to have his input, though.
He really does. He's not allowed in the garden. If you guys don't know, Richard is our lone rooster. We have no other chickens on the property. We had chickens. We kind of... So let's prelude for those that don't watch the other channel, Cause We Can Farms. We made a decision last year because we are building a homestead. We are best friends from the military. We've known each other for 30 years. And I had purchased this property. And then, you know, my husband is deceased, and I was up here trying to do this by myself. And one of the things that this is not really something, okay, small scale, you can farm yourself if your farm is already set up.
Yeah.
At the age of 15.
But she's building.
I'm building from scratch, raw land. So I invited Kimmy up. She was in a space where she was, I've always been inviting her to my farm. I've had multiple farms, and I'm always like, you need to come up here and farm. We could do this.
And I've been a city girl my whole life.
Yeah. So these topics that we're talking about are all kind of new for you.
Very new.
I've had my...
Politically, we didn't even line up for
we
a
did
while.
for a really long time, yeah. And, you know, and that's where... people get very aggressive about their political stance, and Kim and I have always been almost on the opposite spectrums. Now they've gone a little crazy, so we're definitely more closer together,
right,
or completely agree now. But we did not allow that to affect our friendship. And I think that's something that a lot of people do, and you start annihilating people, and you know, it's just not okay.
Sometimes you just got to give people time to process and find their own information. You know, again, a lot of us are really bad, and we dig our heels in when people are like, you have to do this, or you need to see it this way, or
not only that, but like this morning, I've been actually very emotional this morning going over the stuff we're going to talk about today, and it's making me want to just hole up in my little space. I don't care about the rest of it. I'm just going to grow my little garden. I'm going to live my little life, and I'm not going to be involved. I don't want to listen to the news. I don't want to know what they're doing anymore. It's too stressful. And I'm someone who has obsessively watched the news my entire life, but it is getting so overwhelming.
And I've been like you, where I just bury my head in the sand. I don't want to know.
You have a corgi hair. No, it's your hair. I thought it was a corgi hair on your nose.
See that? She's pulling my hair. Yeah. I've always buried my head in the sand because and same with like where my food comes from, but that's a whole different, kind of story. But.
So one of the things that, well, we'll go into that. What is our topic today?
Our topic today is fake food.
Most of the food in your grocery store, I would say, what did they say from that article? Like 90% of your food in the grocery store that is available to us
is not what it says it is.
Is not, the ingredients are not what it said. And so, okay, it was the FDA. The FDA was started because some people got, back in the day when they said, hey, it's better for you to go to a grocery store than to grow your own. Only poor people grow their own food. Unless, if you're socially acceptable and you're ladder climbing, you will go to the grocery store. So they brainwashed us into believing that the grocery store was where you needed to purchase your food, and used the social ladder to do it. And then some companies got caught putting not advertising what really was. So I think it was it in the 80s? I don't remember, but I do remember this happening where it was Parmesan cheese was tested, and it wasn't Parmesan cheese, but it was advertised as 100% Parmesan cheese.
And it was wood, guys.
It was wood.
It was sawdust. Can you believe that? Like, how bad is that for your body? And we wonder why our bodies react the way they do to the foods that we eat. Where back in the day, our bodies didn't react to those foods. For example, okay, I'm throwing out today. I am super puffy. If you look under my eyes,
breathe.
So we did buy a little pizza.
We bought a cake. We bought a pizza and a cake.
And a cake from Walmart last night, and literally my face is all puffy, and under my eyes have these huge bags.
Well,
that is from food.
And I slept terrible. I am lethargic this morning. I'm having brain fog this morning. And I actually kind of did this on purpose as far as the cake, because I wanted to be able to list the things that was going on with my body this morning in the video.
Yeah.
It usually takes us a couple of days to recover as far as stamina. And, you know, just wanting to get into movement. Well, we all know that if you don't get into movement, depression kicks in.
Right.
So here you've eaten a cake. You've had a slice of cake. We didn't eat the whole cake, but a slice of cake. A regular slice of cake after dinner. And I want to curl up and stay in bed all day. It's a beautiful day outside, but I want to be inside. I want to lay down. I'm tired. I didn't sleep well. I was really hot last night.
And I snored a lot.
Yeah.
I could feel it.
Yeah, I did too.
You could feel it.
So, all from a piece of cake. And then, so that starts that thing of that roller coaster of, I don't want to get any work done. And then you're sad that you didn't get work done. And now you're behind in and then the anxiety and then all of this stuff. And then you've got depression. And then why even bother? All started from food.
And, you know, with this fake food, it can be from having fillers in there like the wood, sawdust, to it being something, this is 100% olive oil, and it's actually a bunch of like canola oil with some olive oil in it. They tested a couple, and I'll put the link, I actually will put the link in the description below of the video that we watched. And I'm gonna work on trying to do that. But you guys, if you have something, put a link in the description, put a link in the comments, so that the rest of us can see it. That's what this is all about. We're not telling you, we're just sharing information. We're just sharing things that we've seen, so that you can start looking into stuff, so that you can start making some decisions, because we're going to talk about something else that we discussed a little bit here in a little bit, but let's do about this topic. So they took olive oil, a very expensive brand that was 100% olive oil, and then the cheaper brand. And it had an extra virgin. Extra virgin. And it had an expiration date on it.
Right.
And it had all the ingredients listed.
Yes. And it was not, it's the one that had canola oil and all the other stuff. And then the other one that was the cheaper version, I think wasn't even olive oil.
Yeah.
It was colored and flavored and all of those things.
I think it had 10% olive oil in it. And it wasn't extra virgin at all.
Right.
They just changed the color of it.
Now, we may be, we look at like 4 or 5 different things, so we may be combining some of the stuff that we watched.
Our facts.
Our facts, yeah. That's why we don't
rely on us.
Don't rely on us. That's why we say that. Don't rely on us. You know, start looking and start figuring it out on your own. Start just searching. And I'm going to caveat this with search enough to make yourself want to do the extra work of the garden and start growing your own. And Sasquatch is over there, or a bunny.
It's super important, guys, to do your own garden. But
don't delve. So we're delving because we're bringing topics to you guys, and it is emotionally affecting me. It is. I'm not a crier, and this morning I was just like, it's very frustrating to realize that the people that are in the position to protect us with rules and regulations, the laws, the stuff to make things safe for us, it has gone past that. They don't care. It is all about the bottom line. So one of the biggest things that was super frustrating for me, if you guys don't know, our background is law enforcement, and the fact that there is like literally a slap on the wrist. These companies are making billions of dollars. They're fined like $5,000, and they have to do community service, and that's
like 30 days.
That's it. It's ridiculous.
Of course, like, okay, I won't do it again. They'll absolutely do it.
They're going to do it again. If it pays out and the money is worth it, they're going to do it again.
They lose 5,000, but they make $1 billion. I mean, like, really?
I mean, I would do it at that point. You got to have some morals and some ethics. And one thing we absolutely know that politicians don't. I was thinking about this morning. If you were to ask people, what do you think about politicians and lawyers? Because lawyers always get the bad rap, right?
Yeah.
It's that they're crooked, they're liars, right? Like that's the big. Everybody talks about that, but then we trust them to put in regulation for our food, for our thing, and not expect them to use that to control us.
And Heather made a really good point when we were having our discussion. So we have these discussions in the truck while we're driving around, and then we're like, we should have recorded that because
we should just have our truck.
It's a really good
truck conversations recorded at all times.
But she brought up the fact that you think about, a government official makes roughly around $100,000 a year.
Between $100,000 and $200,000 a year is what they make.
Then all of a sudden they go from like living like the rest of us to being high on the hog. How did they make all this
millions
extra
and
money?
millions and millions of dollars? The whole follow the money thing, you get tired of hearing it, but literally you need to follow the money, because I know me sitting here doing my job, money is not dropped at my feet. I wish it was, but it's not. It's not happening. It's not
from your mouth to God there.
Right? It's not happening. So something is going on in order for that to happen. And I back in the day when, the United States started, being a politician was not a career. It was, you have to do your civic duty and go in and do this for a couple of years. So these guys left their farms, they left their real jobs and became a politician for a couple of years. And I think it should still be that way. I think the corruption when you sit in that, and we're gonna not go delve into that because I can definitely jump down that rabbit hole, but we're gonna try to stick on topic. But it all combines together. And so you saw something on the Facebook forum and you were like, how do these people not know this?
So a local Facebook forum for our area, she was like, they're poisoning our food and poisoning our meat, and what do I do? How can I get meat in my freezer? I don't have a big freezer. I don't have a whole lot of disposable income, but I cannot buy this food. Right. What should I do? What do you guys suggest?
Who is selling this?
Who has something local?
And the comments, because we always go to the comments. If you guys are not going to the comments, go to the comments because they're hilarious.
It's great.
It's hilarious. What do you mean they're poisoning our food?
Yeah. People are like,
Now, I do have to say that up here in general, 80% of the people have a garden. Like, that's a thing in this area. Even in town, people have garden and veg and stuff. That's
but I get it, because I used to be that person. Like, as a city person, I didn't,
Well, this is what's so much fun about having these conversations with you, because you were that person.
I didn't look into
I came out and out of the military and was like, they're all lying to us. They're all a bunch of liars. I'm going to move out in the middle of nowhere and, try to do my own thing. Where you were in town. And that was something that we would have these conversations about. And it was emotionally too much for you, because I would be like, you need to watch the video on how animals are taken care of that are for the grocery store.
No, and at that point I couldn't. I mean, like, I couldn't even, if I saw an animal on the side of the road that had been hit by a car, I was traumatized and crying. And and now I'm like, oh, poor Bambi on the side of the road.
Yeah,
too bad somebody didn't get Bambi before Bambi expired, because we could have used it because
that would have been good meat. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and in a lot of rural areas, you can actually, if you don't know this, if you're in a smaller area, you can sign up, call your sheriff's department, ask them. They have a list of people that they will call if an animal has been hit on the side of the road, that you can come get it and have that meat before it goes bad. So you can get on a list for that. But that's one of the things where the police have to be called out to the scene and all of those kinds of things. So, but that is a thing. It's a real big thing in Alaska.
All I can imagine is that us having wagons full of like possums and skunks.
No, it's usually deer, elk, moose, like those kinds of things.
I really am in the country now.
But so I actually used to do that in Texas. You have to be able to get it into your vehicle on your own and process it yourself. and show up at any time. So I had done that a couple of times in Texas, and I would make it into dog food because at that time I did not like deer. So,
and guys, we just learned last night that bullfrog is great food to eat.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Never
had it. I don't even remember the name of the guy's channel, but it was enlightening. So apparently you should try it.
I have a friend who is in east. She's up east, and she eats a lot of frog. She goes gigging a lot. And she's always posting pictures of it, and I'm just like, I've never had frog. But not to stray too far from our topic, which we will do. This is why we don't record the truck, because I would have to do a lot of editing.
Then you have the truck engine noise too.
That's true. So start delving into these things. Start looking at it. Just look at it enough so that it encourages you to do the extra work of a garden, because it is work. I believe it would become something that you would love doing, especially after that first season. So, the first month of your gardening is so almost like, man, nothing's growing, the seeds haven't popped in, those kinds of things. You're waiting for little sprouts to start happening. And then things like our potato plants have sprouted up, and you get really excited. And then once you're actually harvesting the food and you're filling your pantry and that kind of stuff, and then you're learning how to preserve and that kind of stuff. It is a side job. So I know a lot of people that will either work overtime hours or actually get a second job to pay their grocery bill, because just us two, we bare minimum, and this is not eating fancy, $400 a month on groceries. We have a friend who has a family of 3. Hers is right around 800, and she cooks completely from scratch. So there's very little processed food in her kitchen. So that's insane. We're doing a little bit more processed food, you guys, and this is why we're feeling this. We feel exhausted. We feel lethargic. We've gained a lot of weight this winter, but trying to do this while building is really hard. And that's why we actually had said we got rid of the chicken. So I started that conversation earlier. You guys will learn I don't finish sentences. So we had gotten rid of all the chickens because I didn't want to have to stop and build a chicken coop. We had specific things that we needed to get done here on the build, and the barn is a big one, and then we've got the mini house. So we were like, we're taking this year off. We rehomed our chickens with some friends of ours who will then give us chickens back when we're ready, give us babies back when we're ready.
We did keep some roos because we were going to process them and use them as meat, but an owl beat us to it. And Richard is just hilarious, so we keep him around. He's spicy. And then we have one male duck, which I did keep the ducks because I really enjoy the ducks, but we had something get a hold of our girls. Yeah. So now we have the one male. I do feel like we're going to maybe sometime in the season add a couple more ducks for Donald, because ducks are very social and he seems very lonely. He's now friends with Richard. So we got the two bachelors.
We got the bromance going on. But so just search enough to inspire you to do this. But if you look at it, this is one thing we were talking about, because she has a young daughter. Yeah. How old is Courtney? 22?
Courtney, yep.
22. So, and we kind of use her as our demographic.
23. Hope you're not watching.
So we use her. We
talked about that. Yeah, you're like, if your daughter did this.
Yeah, I'm like, she is in a house that has a nice sized yard. She's working her hiney off. Like, you cannot work a job and be a single person and afford just a regular job, like not a higher up job, but and afford to live somewhere. So your two kids are roommates. Mm-hmm. And if she was to take the time and say, this is my part-time job growing this garden. Okay, so pull your calculator out. This is where we're going to be doing numbers.
I don't know who carries calculators around. I carry a phone, so I pull my phone out.
So if your average is $400 a month, right? Times 12.
400 times
4,800. Okay. So $4,800 a year.
Her math skills are strong.
A year. And that is just basic stuff. Like, that's not even fancy things. Now, you would still need to, and I'm just saying if it's a city yard, you would still need to find and source your milk products. Now, you could find a raw dairy that sells raw milk, that doesn't do a bunch of the stuff to the animals or to your milk, that you can then make your own butter, make your own cottage cheese, make your own yogurt. And I'm not talking about big cheesery things. I'm talking about a couple of hours a week that you spend on processing your milk into these cheeses that we normally eat. Mozzarella is very easy and fast to
And
make.
there's conveniences out there now, like the Instapots. You can make yogurt in an Instapot.
Yeah. Well, and you can, if you have a stove and you have electricity in your house, you can make yogurt in your oven by just turning the oven light on, heating up your stove, turn the oven light on, turning it all off, putting your jars in there, and waking up the next morning and you've got yogurt. So, and then you can make yogurt cheese. You can make, Greek yogurt, strain some of it off. You can make a farmhouse cheddar. These are all very, very simple. You pick up a book, The Art of Cheese Making, I think it is, and it will walk you through it. And like mozzarella is like a 30-minute thing. So now you have your mozzarella. So if you're willing to put in a little bit of the time, I personally love the process. I enjoy the process. So I love the control of my food, and I know what's in it, and I know how it was made, and I feel better when I'm able to eat it. So,
and you're also helping locally. So if you do that and you help the farmers in your area, that benefits us all.
Okay, let's talk about global change.
Oh,
because it goes straight from that. So, a country, not ours. Well, ours is doing it too.
oh yes.
Is I think it was Ireland is killing off 200,000 cows to help with climate change. And the thing is they are already shipping their meat in from Brazil. So if they kill off these cows, they're going to have to, they're now going to be completely dependent on Brazil. Now, let's just, again, how does that not affect climate change when it has to be shipped? It has to be, all of the things. You've now added all of this extra stuff instead of it being right there and being local. So when you're buying local and you're dealing with local companies, local people, local farmers, I would try to stay away from companies completely. So
Yeah.
You are actually shrinking your footprint. You are actually creating relationships in your community. The one thing that I've always not understood about city life, and this is something Kim brings up all the time, in the country, you know who your neighbors are. You may not be BFFs, but if there's a fire, you help each other out. If, that's what you do. We have one neighbor here who has not kind of gotten to know, they're from out of town, and they bought a house here, and they're very private. They don't want to really know. Well, they've been out of town and their mail has gotten completely rained on because nobody knows them. And
you don't want to take their
mail. You don't want to take their mail. And what do you do? But if you know somebody, you could have your mail delivered to your neighbor's house. Your neighbor could pick it up for you. No big deal. That happens in the country. And you take care of each other. Our neighbor was gone. His car was gone for like 4 days. I'm like, wow, so-and-so must have left and he's not there. I hope everything's okay. And then you see him and you're like, hey, were you okay? You were gone. You didn't tell us. That happens. That's a real thing. So you get to know your community. You get to know people who
city life,
are like,
you really don't. You really don't. Even in a smaller area like an apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't even make eye
Somebody
contact.
rings their doorbell and you're like, shh. You get on the floor. Quiet. Everybody silent.
Get out.
And then you tiptoe to the door and you look through the people. I don't know them.
I'm not answering the door.
That's my old life. That's my old me.
And country people, we do look out the window and it's like, why are they driving by slow?
You see, in the country, you've got that.
So if you were to grow your own garden, and then figure out, okay, so what we're going to do probably this week is pick out a few of the things, a few recipes, and then say, how can I grow? I need 5 things that I can grow everything in it.
Mhm.
And then, so for where we are, we can actually do mushrooms. We can do, we have goats. We have a goat that's going to have babies here at the end of the month. So that'll give us our milk. We have our milk and meat. We have sheep.
And guys,
Milk
if you
and
haven't
meat.
tried goat milk, really, it's good. Trust me, I'm a
Okay.
city girl that was absolutely terrified to try it.
Do not purchase goat milk from the can or from the grocery store at all. You need to find somebody, because it is really important, 1, how it's handled, 2, if there is a buck anywhere near that doe that is being milked. So the first time I tried goat's milk, it was from, well, I take that back. As a kid, I had a friend who had a goat in the backyard because of an allergy, a milk allergy. Well, I had a milk intolerance. So they started giving me milk to drink. This was 6th grade. So I had milk then, and goat's milk then, and it was wonderful. So then adult life comes around, and I'm like, I'm just going to start purchasing goat's milk from the grocery store, and it was like licking the backside of a buck goat. It was terrible. So don't do it. If you're going to make soap or something like that, maybe that's fine for that, and you don't want to use your really nice stuff. But you can find farmers that are selling goat's milk.
And for those of you that don't know, because I definitely did not know, goat milk is a great replacement even for formula for babies.
Yes.
If something were to happen,
It is the
let's
closest to
just
mother's
say
milk.
all of the
Yes.
stores get closed down because of a pandemic or something,
Right.
and you can't get it.
Yeah.
That's a great.
And then you've already got
alternative.
your source, Now, if you have enough property, I would say get a couple of goats.
or sheep.
Well, yeah, because you can milk sheep also, but goats for mainly the milk. But you also meat.
Yeah.
Rabbits, quail are very, very quiet. Chickens are loud, you guys. They sing the song of their people whenever they lay an egg. So roosters, we all know roosters are loud, but chickens in themselves are very, very loud. Quail are very quiet, and their eggs are very nutritious. You got rabbit for your meat. Again, rabbits are very quiet.
Until they scream.
Yeah. So you grab them. But it's less noise than chickens. So I'm talking if you're closer in town and you're wanting quiet animals.
Right.
So those are what I would look at. Those are what I would do. But if you're just going to grow a garden, if you start figuring out what things am I going to eat, I think we've learned the art of, I have to have something different every night of the week. I have to like entertain my palate with new fresh things all the time. But when you think about it, we basically eat the same 5 meals like all the time. That's what they did back in the day. Like, you grew squash and then you figured out how to make squash fun by the end of winter.
Yeah.
So if you look at here, because we're going to be growing some squash here. I wasn't going to, but since we're doing a garden anyway, we're going to put up some hoops. We've got some grapes that we've started from cuttings. Those are going to take 3 years to give us anything anyway. So we're going to use those hoops, and we're going to put some squash on there for winter time. So think about soups that you really like, those kinds of things, and grow those vegetables. And then, obviously just in here, what can you preserve without having to purchase a huge amount of things? A lot of things can be water can bathed. You don't have to have a pressure canner, but just about everybody has an Instapot now.
Yeah.
And you can can in an Instapot.
Yep.
It's a small amount of cans, but you can still do it. There's a really great book that I love. It's Small Batch Canning. It's 4 or 5 cans at a time as you're picking. So then you can go in for the day and use what you're going to use fresh and then can the rest. So it teaches you how to do it with small batches. So you don't have to try to figure out how did they do these 100 jars of tomato sauce. How can I change that so it's only 5?
And that would be absolutely wonderful for city people.
Yes.
Because, I never even considered that I could can living in the city. I don't.
Well, and you think about it. So if you once a week want to have spaghetti, you need 1 jar. That's 52 jars, because 52 weeks in a year. 52 jars of spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, and if you think about the amount of tomatoes that we took at the end of the season, we had buckets of green tomatoes, buckets and buckets.
I think we had,
Because it got cold.
yeah, we got cold. So we should have done, we will do this year. Well, actually this year we're doing, cherry tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Cherry tomatoes only for salads.
Yep.
We have purchased, the powder, the freeze-dried tomato powder.
Yeah.
So we make our sauces with that. So that's something you can do, but it's not your garden, and who knows what extra stuff is in that. It's supposed to be from a reliable company. But so if you can just grow your things, figure out, it's overwhelming. I know the very first garden that I did was very overwhelming for me. So I planted the extra things that we really liked, that we ate on a daily basis. So I was in Texas. We had watermelon, we had cantaloupe, we had okra, we had corn. Those are things that we're not growing here.
That sounds fun.
I know,
Watermelon,
right?
cantaloupe. I love corn.
Yeah, I did tomatoes, I did
Okra is a weird
peppers.
texture, but but I like gumbo, so
Yeah.
I guess it's good.
So, you're going to have to look through what is you like to eat, but then also I would challenge you to add something to your palate that maybe you're not. And, you don't want to be thinking about winter. I know I don't right now, but you have to if you're going to be planting. So
To plan ahead.
yeah. So soups, we really like soups.
Guys, just plant something. Things could go awry tomorrow or next week.
But even if you just planted one seed, so I was listening to this guy who was in a short, and he said if you can't do anything but plant one seed, you plant one seed, and that plant will give you hundreds of seeds for next season.
Yes.
And so if you plant one cucumber seed, one zucchini, one, if you just pick a bucket, if that's all you can do, a bucket or a pot, plant that one thing in, and that will give you a lot of food, and that will help you. And then you will have the knowledge to be able to expand the next season.
Yeah.
Jess with Roots and Refuge is definitely someone that I recommend you watching. She's got tons of good information on things, but there are tons of people out there. She's just kind of one that I've watched from when she was a very small channel all the way up. So she's one that I watch. We have a friend, Priscilla, in California, who has a rental, and she does 5-gallon bucket gardening.
Backyard homesteading.
Backyard homestead. So there are definitely some things that you can watch and become obsessed about. But one thing I don't think we touched on, the fact that these 15-minute communities, these grocery stores that you now have to download an app to get into your phone, type in all your information, to include your bank account, to even get in the store to purchase food. So they are actively controlling our food source. They've programmed us that you shouldn't grow your own, that things are poisoned that are not. For instance, dandelions are not poison. They're very good for you. And then now they're controlling that.
There's a lot of weeds in your backyard that are very edible and very good for you.
Now you're doing a series.
I'm just starting on that. In fact, a video is going out today
on foraging.
On foraging.
So and that's Waking Up Country. So make sure you go over there and you check that out, because she's just kind of traipsing around the property, finding things that we have that are edible. And then we'll probably try to do some stuff that we're cooking and taste them and
make some medicine.
Yeah.
So we're
herbs,
test them out on you. I'll be like, this is a numbing agent. Let's see how numb I can get you.
Is this because I'm willing to test the electric fence? Grow herbs. Herbs are so expensive in the store.
Yeah, you think about it. When you go to the store, what is super expensive that you use often?
Right.
And grow that.
Even if you just grow one plant of that. But things back in the day, and the Amish do not have the problems medically that we have today.
Cancers.
Eating the same foods.
Cancers.
That should be enough. That should be enough for you to go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should try to grow my own. Maybe I should try to do that. So we are trying to keep these videos kind of short. Our goal is to inspire you to look into some more things. Research,
grow food,
and grow your food. And you know, if this is something that you don't want to do on your own, look for your friends that want to also do this, and you guys can do it a community garden in your backyard and garden together, and or maybe one person grows some of the one thing and another person grows another, and then you guys start swapping food when it's time to harvest, and canning together. Canning is a physically demanding kind of thing, especially if you do big batches at a time. Get your friends together, can together, you know, make it a super fun day. That's what people do in the country. They either get their big, we just don't have big families anymore today. So
and everything is more fun when you do it with in a group with friends.
that really is true. So, all right, we're going to cut this short. I'm going to try to remember to put some links in the description, but if I don't, go look things up and just look up enough to set yourself on fire and get out there and start doing something, because it's not too late. You can Google what can I grow in my area starting in the month of June. And start planting those things. For us, it is beets, carrots, squashes. What else was there?
Potatoes.
Potatoes was another one. We have a very, very short growing season.
Were we 4B?
We're 6B.
6B.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got to look at those kind of things and look for things that are fast growing, but you can Google that. Until they cut the internet off, we can look things up and just look up what can be planted right now in your area and get a bucket, throw a seed in it.
It doesn't hurt to get a couple of books, one on gardening, one on canning, and one on wild foraging, just in case the internet does go down.
And my recommendation is there's a backyard homesteading book that I really like, small batch canning that I really like. What was the other one that I said? The Art of Cheese Making. So those three are kind of my favorite books. And the Backyard Homesteading one, shows you how much property you need for, like, if you were going to have a goat, you know, or just a garden or whatever. So I couldn't find the link to the Urban Gardener that I was talking about in the last video. They've had a bunch of articles. They were in Mother Earth News a bunch of times. They've been in Mother Earth News, but you know, just start looking and share your things with us that you find, because we definitely would like to look at some more stuff. And you know, this is the one thing that we really can control on our own right now until they start doing stuff to seeds. That's the other thing. Whatever you grow this year, save seeds from it so that you can grow it next year, and your garden will even be cheaper to grow.
And you can swap seeds with friends. So having extra seeds is extra good.
Having that group of friends, especially if it was in your neighborhood, like if you could get your whole neighborhood. We've talked about this before. You know, if you can get 4 or 5 people in your neighborhood that wanted to do this too, you guys could really have a bunch of bounty in your small growing spaces. But we're going to take off, or this is going to be our video. And if you guys know me, I can talk forever. Have a good day. Bye, you guys.